Last time we left off, we were doing the hot side on the turbo, and we made the log and everything, and then I wasn't sure where I wanted the wastegate, so I ended up finding a spot for it. And I think it's going to be good. It's going to have lots of flow directly into the wastegate, should have lots of resolution with the spring in there, and shouldn't have any boost creep issues, I'm hoping. So I got busy and I did the rear end. It's finally done and in there. I took it out again, painted it. I welded the spring perches. I got my pinion angle that I was happy with. I finished up the brake lines here. I added these support bars in. Maybe I showed you guys that already. I ended up getting this pinion yoke machined. So I did get a drive shaft measurement last night so I can get that built. I also installed a little catch can here just to catch any of the pressurized fluid coming out of the overflow in the turbo 400. And then I ran my trans cooler lines. They come here, up and around. And I mounted the trans cooler. I just mounted it off, welded tabs off of the outrigger from the roll cage outrigger there. So that's mounted up, tucked up there nice and solid. I think that's pretty much everything under here that I've done. The hot side is all in there and bolted up for good. I made the downpipe. Snuck a 5-inch in there. I didn't want it going through any panels. I didn't want it in the way of any of my tires. I didn't want it burning up any of the paint. Didn't want it through the hood. So I kind of had to pick a spot and made it work. I think it should be fine there. There's actually lots of clearance that you'd think that it would be touching, but with the steering all the way cranked and suspension squatted out, there's still like an inch of room right there. So that's kind of funny. 5-inch was meant to be in there. But yeah, I'll bring the truck down and I'll show you what I did under the hood. Grill on, which is super tight with that intercooler. The hood's on. That downpipe is there. It's not sticking out as far as you would think it is from certain angles, but should clear the fender enough just to not soot it all up and everything. But yeah, I've just been grabbing parts. I've been super busy with work and everything else, so it's just come in the shop, grab parts, keep throwing it on, make it work. So the hot side is all complete, like you guys seen that earlier. The wastegate is in there. Turbo feed, turbo drainer done. I got the bulkheads on the firewall. That's gonna be the main power for the feeds going into the truck. The seals at firewall grommet, that's gonna be for the terminator and some of the wiring. The trans dipstick, that's a little bit big and ridiculous, but I just threw it up there. I ended up getting the low car throttle cable, and I had to cut it to fit, so that fits nice. I've been using that motor right there as a mock-up with that intake, so I'm not doing everything in here. I made this little fuel regulator bracket. It's kind of hard to see down in there, but I think it'll be nice. You can cross your feed lines into each rail and then return down the center. The 5-inch downpipe has lots of room down in there, which is nice. Intercooler piping is done. This coolant expansion tank is mounted and done. And the intercooler piping comes through here, comes around this bend. And I got my intake temperature sensor welded in there, and my blow-off valve I didn't use for my other truck, but I'm gonna put it on here. So I already had that. I took these original truck coolant lines and I cut them to fit upper and lower. Got the water pump tap for the steam ports. Throttle body is all ready to go. I made this throttle cable bracket. I mounted the battery as well. So it's in a box. It should be nice and solid there. So yeah, I'm onto the fuel system now. I'm starting to get pretty excited. So I'm laying that out. Here's the hat I'm going to be using. It allows for 2 pumps. These are the Performance World 525 pumps. They're like a Walbro 525. I'm going to be using 2 of those. Dash 10 feed. Those are all my fittings I got to go through yet. and I'm going to be using the Bosch C10s. So Canadian Performance Injection out of Edmonton, Alberta, got a hold of these for me. His name's Joel. Super helpful, awesome to deal with. Customer service is great. I'm going to be using these. I'm just waiting on some tips, and they adapt into the Holley high ram. I didn't know that was a thing, but I should have those this week. I don't have a lot of time, but I am utilizing my time as best as I can to get this done, because it is not going to do itself. So I better get busy. So this is what I've come up with for the two 525s. And then it's all mounted to the hanger. Got my right depth. You could definitely tell someone was in this box before. I was missing the hanger and some bolts and whatnot, so I kind of had to make it work, of course. So I'll just plop that in there. I'll be able to wire this up and adapt these -8 feed lines to a -10 and make it go to the front. So I got the fuel cell sitting in there. This is what I decided to do. I got it in the box. It'd be nice to have one underneath the bed, obviously, but I wasn't sure what I was doing for suspension and what I had for room, so I didn't really want to build around how I wanted my fuel cell. So now it's in the bed. I can get at my pumps really easy if I need to. And now that I'm doing the 525s in tank, I had to block off these bottom ports here, and I'll be running a -10 feed up to this branched -8, and then a -8 return. So gonna be quite a bit of fuel flowing through this. This -10 is like garden hose, but I don't want to be lacking fuel running on E85. You need quite a bit more volume, 30 or 40% more, depending on the strength of it and whatnot. So I got the -10 feed going. I got my fuel filter mounted, and the line is ran all the way up to the front and up into the engine bay. Once I figure out what I'm doing there, I can cut it. And I was going to start doing this crossover at the back, go from a -10 and Y into -8. But I messed up, and I don't have the right fitting. I need a Union 90 -8, and I'm not going to get that tonight. So I'm going to have to order that, so I'm kind of stuck on there. I can do the -8 return though, and then I'll have to come back to the feed after that, and then I could probably mount this on the truck axle. So I got to get those parts ordered up, and I got a drive shaft measurement now, so I can get that off and get that made. And if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. That'll be helpful. We're going to have some driving and racing and firing this thing up and lots more other stuff on the go. So stay tuned for more.